Hello and welcome. Ashley and Bella here. This is another episode of What's Alive. So we do this every Tuesday and Thursday. If you are joining us today, say hello. If you've watched the other ones, let us know. This is where we bring in things that are alive in the field, that are alive in our lives, that are alive in the transit. We go from the microcosm to the macrocosm and the infinitesimal to the infinite, and they're all connected. So we look at what's alive in the transit, what are some patterns that may be going on in our everyday life, and normally we're very influenced by what's happening in the planets, because of the neutrino stream that is passing through the planets and passing through us, and we can't help but be influenced by it. So this brings a little awareness to what's going on, and hopefully it helps you relate and resonate with other people that may be going through the same thing. So we're going to bring up a couple things that we noticed in the field and let us know if you're going through something similar or what you are going through that maybe off of the same like weave. So yeah, Bella, did you want to open us up to the discussion? What do you see as something that's alive?
I see the 32 and the 42 right now. Mercury went retrograde, and I think it went retrograde in the 32, and that is the perceived failure. And the programming partner is the 42. It has to do with expectations. And I feel like those are pulling. And even before now that we went live, we're a little bit later today. Usually we're doing it at 1. And I was a little late, and I was also a little pulled because I was on a call that was really important, actually pulling out some of those deep imprints from the 32, and that's my Pluto, that's my Saturn. I have that deep imprinting of the fear of failure, and I was clearing that in a way that I haven't even seen it before, like why I came in here and what I have had to become in this lifetime. And it was really deep, and then I still wanted to go live, so I was a little late. And then I really felt an enormous failure when you were like, okay, well, now you're 10 minutes late and I'm just going to do this other thing. And then I felt like, oh, why did I even like put on my earrings? I could just have like sitting here in my pajamas or something and do my next call, which is an audio call. And I had all these things come up, and, it would have been easy to kind of like just write that out. And I think in your communication, I could feel, and in my communication too, that we weren't writing all our frustration in the chat. We were actually, both of us wanted to find a solution, and we're not going to like lash out at the other because of this, because I could see my failure and I could see my interpretation of it and also your interpretation. And that just made me think, like, often, there is something with expectations when we don't communicate, we can actually judge the other for something that's not even true. My intention was not to be late. My intention was to be there. And so intentions, expectations, failures, communication feel like that's a lie for me right now.
Yeah. And I'm definitely seeing it and feeling it, and I have the 42 in my culture sphere. My mom has the 42 in her vocation sphere, so it's kind of like her wounding. She's here right now with her boyfriend. They came over to bring us the camper, the RV, because we are going we're going on a camping trip across country. We have a funeral to go to, and we weren't going to fly. That changed. And then we're like, well, let's drive. And they came over, and we're expecting everything to be ready. And then the TV's not working, and all the electronics are being weird. I'm like, oh, Mercury, what are you doing? And everybody's getting frustrated because they're like, this worked yesterday. And, there's these expectations of like, it should be consistent. And I feel like we want certainty. And when we don't have certainty, the unexpected, like, oh, what the hell is happening? So the more that we can make friends with certainty and uncertainty and not have a preference, then we're not going to be upset by these expectations. So I think that with expectations, there's also this preference of how we want to show up, how we want other people to show up. And when our needs aren't met and we're like thrown for a loop, it's easy to get triggered,
And it has something to do with safety too, because I could see myself yesterday doing a similar thing. I had to send you a document for our company, Ashley, and my partner was going to go to the post office anyway. So I was like, can you send this, please, when you're going? It would be so good. And Ashley's going for vacation, so I would like her to receive it before. And we're doing all these things right now with administration. And he was like, yeah, of course I can. That's no problem. And then I sent a message like by noon. And I was saying, are you going to be able to go to the post office? And he wrote back, I just have to do this one thing and then I'm going there. And so I was like, so you're sure you're going to go there before 6? And he said, yes, of course I'm going to go there before 6. And then later that day, we're going to go to the beach and play like paddleball. And then I saw that in his bag there was the thing that he was going to send to you. And then like the whole thing of like feeling completely unsafe, that like I expected that to be done, I had confirmed it, and it was still there in the bag. And then I was like, you know, it wasn't about the thing, because it doesn't matter if you get it tomorrow or the day after, but I had this thing like, if this is not sent, how can I ever trust that anything is going to be done? And you know, it was not proportionate. And he was like, well, let me see, maybe we can go to UPS, because they have like overnight delivery. And the whole thing was like, it wasn't that important. But my reaction was that it's like, if I can trust this world, if I can trust something I confirm, what can I trust? How can I be safe? And then I had to kind of like shake it off. I'm like, it doesn't actually matter. But I would like to know that if there is, you know, and it goes back to my kind of this Swedish thing, like if somebody says something and I can't trust it, then the world falls apart. So it's part of my conditioning, and it's part of my shadow too, how I deal with it. But, you know, I can see, and that's the same thing that could happen with us today, actually. It could have been disproportionate, like not to the proportion of the actual thing. It doesn't so much matter if we go live or not. But there is this thing of like the expectation that I think in my case, it's about safety. And I bring that back to people with, you know, we have different attachment styles. So there are some things here that come from a very early age of our emotional safety or not, where it can be connected to not feeling safe, to feeling that we have maybe that same thing with parents. We can't trust them. Sometimes we can't trust them. And I think it sometimes go deeper, and to check yourself, like, are you reacting to something that's like not in proportion to the seriousness of the actual issue that's happening?
Yeah. It's super interesting. And I feel like, well, if this is an issue and we're holding our triggers, like we're holding ourselves responsible for what we're feeling and not projecting like, you should have done this or that, like the naming and the blaming and the shaming. It's like, I wanted my certainty and you're the reason why. It's like, sometimes we just have to go with the flow, and it works out. Because I pulled a card for this week for myself, and it was the 34, which was force, or majesty and strength. And there's something about, like, we have an expectation that we want this to get done, and we want it to get done in a certain way, and we're going to do everything we can in our power to make it happen. And sometimes it's about letting what's meant to be come in and happen. Like, we get so fixated on this door that we want to go through, and it's like locked and double locked and triple locked. Right? How can we do this? But there's like a door over here that we can go through. When I was planning the RV trip yesterday, I was getting super worked up because we decided to take the north route to go to New York, and we were going to go to the Grand Tetons, because I had this like intuitive voice that was like, Grand Tetons. I was like, okay, I'll look that up. And there's this huge significant link to it. I won't go into it, but I was like really attached, and I had an expectation of going there. And when I started to plan the route, and we're like, okay, we'll stay there. We'll like camp there. We got to hook up. We got to dump our stuff, and we got to make sure that we're at a campsite. Every single campsite was full. And I was like, what? Where? I want to go here. What's going to happen? And I kept trying to, and Justin was like, you need to put this down. You're working yourself up. I'm like, no, this has to happen. I want to go here. This is like what we're supposed to do. This is like what we're like intuitively, like spiritually, like supposed to go at. And he was like, no, put this down. Like there's another solution, but you have to put it down in order for that solution to come to you. Because I was like forcing, and he's like, stop. And he even told me there was like a phrase in the Navy that they use, and I forgot because I was so in a panic, and I was so like in my emotion of like, I need to figure this out. I didn't even hear him, and he was like, I'm not even gonna talk to you, like this isn't even helpful, like, and he walked away. I was like, I just want this to happen so bad. So expectation is like completely coming up, but what do you do when uncertainty comes, when your expectations aren't met? Like, how do you handle the unexpected? What are some practical ways to handle it? You know, walking away, taking a deep breath, but like, what can you do? Do you have like what do you do when stuff like this happens for you?
I guess I do observe, like I said, today, I could have just written the things that I like the unsafe part of me was feeling. Or yesterday I could have been like, yeah, I could have kind of followed the agenda. Let's go to UPS, let's send it. Like, you did the wrong thing. Now you have to make it right. Like I could have, you could have gone on with it. But I think the thing is to kind of catch you in it. And I kind of think about our containers where we are teaching, and sometimes the people that are with us, they have other expectations. And that's also where I did a video on it maybe half a year ago. I'm like, well, I actually get to decide. So there are some times where I also feel like others' expectations, that's the same thing. If I expect something of you now, Ashley, like, you get to decide how you show up. And that should be like, somehow that's enough. We can't control others, and punishing others because they are not showing up is not gonna help. So when we can be a little bit more sure and safe in that, and I can see that for you too, you always want to give and overgive in many ways to clients, to people. So there is something there too, to kind of let on the other side of it, to know that we don't always have to live up to expectations either. And when we give ourselves that gift, I think we don't hold other people so tight in our claws of like, you have to live up to me, because we are not working ourselves out so much to try to like live up to everybody else.
Yeah. So like you were saying, it's like, it's the expectation of the other placing something on you, and then whether you're going to react to the pressure and be like, okay, let's find a solution. Let me figure this out. Like, now I understand your expectation and now I need to live up to it. It's like, I think that what happens on the side of, I have an expectation of you and you didn't meet it, whether it's explicitly or implicitly, I think that whatever the weight, however heavy that need to have this expectation met is, that is directly proportional to the way that reaction comes out. The more you cling to that expectation, the harder it is for you. And then the other person feels the weight of your clinging and your expectation. And so it's like, oh my gosh, I need to help you fix it. And a lot of my issue is like, I don't like, and it's really difficult for me to feel somebody else's suffering. And so I'm like, how can we fix this? Let me figure this out. So then I go into like this, like, let's figure it out mode. And it's not always serving, because I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it so I don't have to feel their reaction and their emotional weight, because I have an open emotional center and I feel conflict, I feel turbulence, and I'm like, I don't want to feel this. And the way that I'm able to not save someone and try to meet expectations is I have to release my savior like identity, and I also have to accept what they're experiencing and not take it on as my responsibility. So I can witness how much they're clinging and have an expectation, but it doesn't mean I have to do anything with it. But that's been a huge struggle for me, is let's resolve this emotion that you're feeling and you're not wanting to feel. Like, I don't want to feel it either, so let's figure it out, because now you're blaming and projecting on me, and now I feel like it's my fault when I know it's not my fault, and it's your expectation that you're like, you didn't meet this. So upset. So
it's and like one more thing with that has to do with mechanics. I believe what you're saying with the open emotional, that's absolutely that. We often go into fixing, or for example, like me, I have motivation, a second color of hope, and the transference is fixing. So I always go into that too. And then there's an expectation that when I put something on the other, they are also going to want to fix it. But some people, maybe with the defined emotional center, that are still in the wave, or with a defined ego centers, like, stop doing this to me. Like, I don't even care about your stupid, like, immature expectations. Like, when the other doesn't actually want to fix that, then I judge them even more, because I'm like, if that was me, I would do everything to fix it, and you don't care, So,
yeah, that's kind of like that book, The Queen's Code, and it talks about these expectations we have on our partners, and that we're judging them based on this idea of perfection, of who we would show up as our highest version. So we're like projecting onto them, you need to be like me and how I would show up in this situation. Like, if the trash is overflowing and I want you to, like, I value cleanliness. I value having like an empty trash can. You don't. But I'm projecting on you, like, why aren't you taking this out? This is like your job. Take out the trash. But they're like, I don't care about the trash. It could be there until tomorrow. No. It needs to be out now. So it's like we're putting stuff on them, because if it were us, we would take it out. If we were our own partner, we would take it out. So projections and expectations. And I feel like our criticism on the other person is also this criticism on ourselves. So judgment is self-judgment. All criticism is self-criticism. So, I mean, we need to look at that too when we're reacting to somebody. And it's all it's all like the uncertainty and safety thing that comes up. It's like we had an expectation, we're going about our day, and oh, surprise, shock. And I think that you find out who you are when you're met with that shock. And it's like, be gentle with yourself if you are reacting or you are clinging or have an expectation. But I think that the more shocks we have, the better resourced we are to know how to deal with it. And we're in the transit, the sun is in the 18 and we're about to move into the 48. So we have this judgment, this criticism, this idea of perfection. And then also when that perfection isn't there, how can you get your inner resources to be able to deal with yourself emotionally? Because the 48 codes for the EQ, and it's about being emotionally resourceful as well, among other things. This is the gate of depth. But I'm just saying, like, when you are met with the unexpected and like your emotions are like, oh, who do I blame? I don't want to blame myself. I'm gonna blame you. It's like, what are your tools to help you ride the wave of the unexpected?
Yeah, and one more thing, because we have Mars and the Sun, where you're speaking about that kind of cusp between the 18 and the 48, and right on the other side of the wheel, the programming partner, we have the 21, where Chiron is. So I believe that some of these things with inadequacy, with judgment, with expectations, what we have been speaking about today is going to come up, because Chiron is there and saying, you know, where is your wound, and where are you not in sovereignty? And the 21 is about that personal authority. So I believe that even that fact that Chiron is there on the other side, it's going to create a little bit extra tension, a little bit extra kind of energy around these themes this week.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm about to go on my camping trip, and I know that I can get hyper controlling when things are like, I'm like, how can I fix this? Let me do that. And Justin always tells me, he's like, I don't need, like, you just want to take this. You just want to control this. And I'm like, yeah, I want to fix this problem. So with Chiron being there and us having the 48, like what are the tools that we can have to help us like come into that higher expression instead of like freaking out and reacting to the things that we need to control or we don't feel safety. You know, whenever I go into control mode, especially with my kids, because I'm like, safety. My motivation is safety, but it's like first line, so it's personal as well. And I don't feel safe when I have to like take over and deal with, you know, all the things that are happening around me. So I need to make sure that I'm controlling and combating all these potential failures or accidents or whatever. So I'm always like being that rebound person, like, oh, okay, let's make sure this doesn't happen. But it's so exhausting to be that person as well, you know, and do I really need to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say with that square as well that we have between Pluto and Mercury, instead of like trying to come up to a higher frequency, like the first thing, like I said, observe it. The second thing is what you were just saying, Ashley. I would just ask myself in that moment when something like this happened, I would say, all judgments is self-judgment. Like I would like trigger myself a little bit more, you know, but instead of lashing out, I would be like, okay, where is it in this where I'm, you know, not happy in myself? Where am I judging myself? Where is the contraction in me? I think that is a way to kind of go into the root cause, more like what Venus in Scorpio would do. Like I feel like it's going to the root cause and be like, okay, this is happening because somehow here I'm not happy with myself. And that's where I feel like the answers can come up. And that's where we don't have to perpetuate those cycles of like expectations and failure and what it seems like, you know, is there, right?
And how can you take what you're learning in each of these transits and bring it forward? Because when these transits are over, and these are gifts from the universe, from God, it's like, here's an opportunity to access this energy, whether you have it in your chart or not, we're amplifying it. And it's like, we were in the 47, which is, you know, that oppression to transmutation to transfiguration. There's a lot that can happen in that energy, right? We're going to get hit with suffering. And it's like, how can we move through the suffering? Then we went into the 6, conflict, diplomacy, peace. Like, what did you gain from that? It's like all of these transits that have come, what tools have you learned from them? And if during each of the transits, you can think about like, what are the tools that the universe is giving me right now? And then it's like you're building your arsenal of tools so that you can be more resourceful. So we had the 6, we had the 47, we had the 46. This is the love of the body. Like none of this matters unless you're embodied and you're like completely here, because a lot of us, what happens when our nervous system is like, oh, triggered, fight or flight response, some people disassociate and they're out of their body, or they're like up in their head. So it's like you have to be able to observe what happens when the shock comes to you. What's your automatic nervous system response, and how can you take a moment, breathe, bring yourself back into your body. And like Bella said, all judgment is self-judgment, all the things that you need to say to bring it back on you. Because when we were in the 47, it's all about responsibility and taking ownership. So how can you go back and use that ability of taking ownership for your experience and how you're adding to it, and like create peace for yourself? Be diplomatic, like weigh the scales. Don't just like react and then leave your body too. It's like, because we don't feel safe. Oh, leave my body. And then obviously we're in the 18 and we're going to the 48. So I feel like if you are following the transits and you're tapping into these archetypes, what are they wanting to gift you? What is the gift here for you? Even if it's like uncomfortable, there's a gift in each of the struggle and each of the pain and each of the shock. So as we're moving into the 48, we're in the 18, have some kind of reflection time to see, what was the gift here? What did you learn here? Because there's potential in every single transit, in every day, actually. Okay. Anything else to add before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it. I think it's good to be also I like to be honest with my immaturity somehow. I think it's cool to come on and just not only just speak about the transits and everything, telling everybody else what to do kind of thing, but also to be like, this is happening and this is how I see myself and this is how I stop myself. Like, I like the honesty of just sharing that as well. And I actually want people to know us. I think there's a beauty with that. I want people to not just have their own I mean, of course there can be projection, but I would like whoever is watching to feel like they know us a little bit more every time we go on, and not just we are some astrologers, Gene Keys human design experts. Like it feels more real to actually come on and be like, this is going on and this is how in the most embodied way we can right now that we are dealing with it.
Yeah. Because we're not perfect, nobody's perfect, and we're not here to bring you our highlight reel or have this like expert title. Like I'll share and be transparent about what's going on in my life, because both Bella and I are transpersonal profiles, and it's important for us, whatever we're going through is meant to be shared too. So if we get through something or we're struggling with something, we want to share it with you, because maybe we have a tool that you don't have, or maybe in the interaction you have something for us that like really helps. I feel like everybody has a key. And so there's an exchange. So if you want to comment in the chat anything that you use when you are faced with shock, what happens with expectations, what are some tools that help you feel resourceful and help you feel like, okay, how can you take ownership and responsibility for yourself, and what can you do to kind of release these expectations and to deal with the shocks of life? I'd like to hear kind of what you have to.
And actually, I guess we still have the special, even if we're not in the 46 anymore. Do you know if the coupon code for the core and the sacred meaning course works? Yeah, so maybe we can post that, because that's exactly that kind of Eden loop that can happen in relationship when we don't catch ourselves and it goes round and round. So yes. I guess that would be a good thing to post as well for people.
The IQ and the EQ sphere is what Bella's talking about, and this is called the Eden loop, and we go into that inside the Venus immersion, inside the Venus sequence, because we're going back through this codon ring of matter, which we're in right now. So it's kind of perfect. Like if you're wanting to dive into that, this is the perfect timing, if you want to say that, for you to do that, because we were in the 18, that's the IQ. We're about to be in the 48, that's the EQ. And then we have gone through the 46, which was the SQ, and we're going to go into the 57. So all of these are what code for these spheres in your gene key profile. So if you're interested in that, you can comment. We'll be sure to post the links there as well. But thank you for joining us, and we really appreciate your presence and also your own experience and input. If you have anything to share, we'd love that in the comments or the chat. So thanks for joining us today for What's Alive, and we will see you next week. I will be on the road though, so you're going to see me in a camper. So thanks for joining us, and have a wonderful day.